we are literally pulling the name of the Wi-Fi network, the name of the router, as well as the password used to connect to the router. We're pulling that information straight from this image simply by using the strings command. This is crazy that you can do this. This is unbelievable that you can do this, that this is this easy. This is not just the name of the Wi-Fi network, but this is the password to the Wi-Fi network in plain text. And we did this using a $10 tool. Most smart home and IoT devices quietly store your Wi-Fi credentials inside of a small memory chip. On many of these products, that information is not very well protected, if it's even protected at all. In this video, I'm going to show you how a bad actor could potentially use a device that costs less than $10 to extract this information from an IoT device, like a camera, for example. Let's go ahead and get started with the video. Fresh forensic, keep learning, stay fresh, keep growing. Fresh forensic, keep learning, stay fresh, keep growing. This is going to be a very interesting video, and I want to make sure that everybody understands that I am showing you the things in this video not to try to encourage anybody to exploit an IoT device. I'm showing you these things ultimately so that you can understand how it works and you can protect yourself from these things happening to you. This is a BIOS Eeprom programmer, and we can use this tool to actually dump the contents of a little chip on an IoT device. That chip is referred to as a BIOS chip. And on an IoT device, that little tiny chip actually stores everything, including the operating system itself. If the contents of that chip are not protected by encryption, and many times the chip is not, then it's a very simple process to dump the contents of the chip and extract human readable information from it. So here's the BIOS Eeprom programmer. I'm going to plug this into the USB port of my computer. The ribbon cable runs over to the chip clip, and you can see that the chip clip is already attached to the SPI flash chip on the board. And this is, once again, an IoT device. This is the type of camera that you would buy and set up in your home to record video when it detects motion, for example. Very common device. So let's go ahead and go down to the command line and get started. Now we're going to be using a very powerful command line utility that is called Flashrom. If I do a what is on Flashrom, we get back that this is used to detect, read, write, verify, and erase flash chips. So this can do much more than just what we are doing in this video. We are simply reading from it or dumping the contents of a flash chip. But you can also use this to actually erase the contents of the flash chip and even write new information to the chip. Now to install Flashrom, incredibly simple. You're just going to run the command sudo apt install Flashrom. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull up the help menu for Flashrom by running Flashrom with -- help. Now there are a couple different options that we're going to be leveraging. The main one is -R to read the contents of the flash memory and save it to a file. We're also going to be using -C to probe for a specified flash chip. Finally, we're going to be using -P, and this is used to specify the programmer device. And once again, we get a list of different devices. We know from running LSUSB that the device that I am using is this device right here, CH341A_SPI. Alright, so I hope that you guys are ready for this. I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy how easy this is and how powerful this is. Let's go ahead and do this. So I have everything already set up and connected. I'm going to go ahead and plug in the programmer. Alright, so now that I have it plugged in, let's go ahead and rerun that ls USB command one more time and make sure that it is recognized on the system, and it is. Okay, so we're going to run Flashrom with a -p. We're going to specify the programmer. That is going to be ch341a_SPI. And that's it. I'm not going to run it with any other options as of yet. Alright, so now the reason that I did that way is because I want it to first detect the chip. I want to make sure that first and foremost the programmer is properly detecting the flash chip, because if it's not detecting the flash chip, then there's no point in going any further. If it does not detect the flash chip, then it is most likely due to an improper connection. You might have something backwards, or one of those legs is not quite making contact with the chip clip. But as you can see, everything is working as it should, and we are able to identify the flash chip that is being used on this particular board, and it is right here in double quotation marks. I'm going to copy this information, including the double quotation marks. Now we are going to rerun that command. This time we're going to add on -c for chip, and I'm going to paste in the contents that we obtained specifically for this chip. And finally, we're going to add a -r. This is going to read or dump the contents of the flash chip. And we want to dump the contents to a file on our local system. So we're going to give that file a name. I'm going to call it firmware.bin. And finally, we're going to add sudo onto the beginning of this command. Alright, let's go. So you can see that it is reading the flash. That is a great sign that everything is working as it should.
It's fresh forensics, baby. Fresh forensics, baby. Yeah, you know the name, don't play me. It's a fresh forensics way of life. We break it down, we build it right. From the log to the lows, from the shell to the highs. This ain't just code, this is how I survive. I've been feeling so fresh lately. It's fresh forensics, baby. Fresh forensics, baby. Yeah, you know the name.
Okay, so the command has completed. If I want, I can run a status code. I'm using the fish shell, so instead of echo $? I run echo $status. I get back a 0. That lets me know that this command completed successfully. And if I run ls, we now have a file inside of our directory called firmware.bin. I can run ls-lh on this file. That will give me an approximate size in human readable form, and we get back that it is 8 megabytes in size. If I just run ls-l on firmware.bin, you get back the size, but it's not in human readable format. So that is the difference in running those commands. And finally, we can run the file command on the image, and we get back that this is an open PGP secret key, which is kind of interesting. Now from this point, if our goal was reverse engineering, we would probably install a tool such as binwalk. I can do an apt info on binwalk, and this is used for a multitude of things, and we could use it in this example we could use binwalk in this situation to unpack everything inside of this image and lay everything out for us. But we're not going to use binwalk. We're not going to do anything crazy. We're not doing any reverse engineering. We're going to use something much more simple, something that is guaranteed to be installed on your Linux system as well as any other Linux system, and that is the strings utility. If I do a what is on strings, we get back that this is used to print the sequences of printable characters in files. Strings is installed on every Linux system, and it is simple yet very powerful, and this is the only tool that we need to extract sensitive information from this image. So if I were to just run strings on the firmware image with no options, you see that it actually prints all the human readable-ish characters to the screen. Alright, so we're going to rerun strings on the firmware image, and this time I'm going to pipe the output into grep. I'm adding a -i for case insensitivity, and what that does is it basically says, hey, we're going to look for this particular string regardless of uppercase or lowercase. The string that we're looking for is Wi-Fi, so this is going to print back any strings it is able to pull from the image that have the word Wi-Fi in the string. And when I hit enter, we get back the hit, or the thing that it was searching for, in red, which is Wi-Fi, and right next to it we have the Wi-Fi password and the Wi-Fi SSID, or in other words, the name of the Wi-Fi network. Now, of course, I am blurring this out, so you are not able to actually make out this information, but we are literally pulling the name of the Wi-Fi network, the name of the router, as well as the password used to connect to the router. We're pulling that information straight from this image simply by using the strings command. This is crazy that you can do this. This is unbelievable that you can do this, that this is this easy. This is not just the name of the Wi-Fi network, but this is the password to the Wi-Fi network in plain text. And we did this using a $10 tool. Maybe you don't get back any hits for Wi-Fi. So you could also grep for SSID, and that will give you back pretty much the same information. You could also just grep for password, and that will potentially give you back any passwords that you find. So whether you're grepping for SSID, Wi-Fi, or password, you see that we get back sensitive information with each one. And in my opinion, this is a problem. This is a problem. This is something that is overlooked, and this is something that you, as the user of these IoT devices, you have to be conscious of this. Do you know how incredibly easy it would be for somebody to walk up to your house and just pull that camera right off of your door, take it back home, and in 5 minutes they now know the password to get on your Wi-Fi network? Or you throw your IoT device away, your smart thermostat, or your nanny cam, your baby cam. You throw your little IoT device in the trash because it doesn't work anymore, or because you upgraded to something bigger and better. And little do you know, this information, this sensitive information, is sitting on the device unencrypted. So next time that you're thinking about throwing one of your old IoT devices away, think again. Perhaps you want to come up with a better way of disposing with these devices now that you know that they potentially contain sensitive information that somebody could extract with a tool like this one right here.
Codes and locks weren't just puzzles, they were keys. Dennis called my name, whispered calm in the breeze. Terminal glowing like a beacon in the night. Scripts became my rhythm, learning became my fight. Growth and redemption, days turned to nights, and I kept building my skill. From chaos to command line, I found purpose and will. Learning Python, bashing all the tools I could grab. Every pseudo, every script, another brick I had. Keep learning and stay fresh, my mantra, my guide. Turning mistakes into lessons, leaving darkness outside. From root to user, I'm mastering the flow. In love with Linux, I got places to go. In love with Linux, I got places to go.